Now, another surprise that is making its way through the Senate this week is a so-called NSA reform bill. It was written by Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy, and it's supported by Ted Cruz. Now, the bill purports to rein in NSA's ability to monitor the communications of Americans. However, Senator Rand Paul says it's too weak, and he notes that it will, in fact, extend the sunset clause on the Patriot Act, which is the very legislation under which the NSA has justified mass domestic spying. Now, Paul says that he's going to oppose the bill unless the Patriot Act provision is removed and the reforms strengthened to properly restrict the NSA's collecting and carrying out this bulk collection of Americans' phone records. Now, we all know how Paul feels about drones, but how does he feel about the Justice Department's use of secret cell phone Dragnet surveillance? Now, this is a program that's been in operation since 2007 by the U.S. Marshal Service, and it uses Cessna aircraft with devices that emulate cell phone towers. They're flown out of 5 metropolitan airports, and this gives the planes the ability to cover most of the United States. Now, the Wall Street Journal report says that the program is intended to track the movement of suspected drug dealers. In the process, of course, however, data on thousands of people that are not under investigation or subject to court wiretapping warrants is collected. So basically, these planes trick your phone into connecting with their strong signal, and they just sweep up all of your data. So much for that Fourth Amendment. But maybe they're going to be able to do away with all of these tracking devices soon to track all the evildoers, right? Los Angeles police are already employing pre-crime tools to know when the bad guys are likely to strike. Now, they're using a program dubbed Laser for its ability to zero in on offenders and hotspots, and it's one of many newer law enforcement tools that use data tracking and collection, such as license plate scanners and cell phone trackers, often with little public knowledge or regulation. Privacy advocates say Laser isn't transparent, has no clear oversight, and unjustly focuses on keeping ex-convicts under suspicion even though they've served their time. Laser also uses Palantir technology to speed up the process of building a dossier on criminals. And as we've reported, Palantir data crunches the way that all of us use technology to look into you. So let's see if that is something that's been really dealt with in this new supposed NSA regulating bill that's being passed through the Senate, trying to be rushed through the Senate while there's all this other chaos going on no one really has the time to pay attention to. But, you know, maybe since they're doing all of this, we can do away with the TSA. Now that they're working with pre-crime, we have no use for the contrived security theater that is the TSA, right?
You expect the person sitting next to you on a flight has been thoroughly screened like you have.
Yes, but CBS 2 has uncovered that's not always the case.
It's hard to believe in post-9/11 New York that travelers could get on an airplane without the security rituals many have come to trust.
Security rituals we have come to trust? We've been calling it security theater for a long time, but I think ritual actually captures it better because it is a kind of religion of the state. And it requires the adherents to have a kind of childlike faith in the omnipotence of the state. Think about the security ritual. We come before our masters who treat us as guilty. To get absolution from our masters, we submit to them. We allow them to humiliate and to degrade us. Some of us will be singled out for additional humiliation as a lesson to the rest as to who's in authority. And if we submit, we are blessed with a temporary indulgence to proceed on our pilgrimage. Forgive me, I have scanned. The government wants you to view them as God. To do that, they attempt to reproduce the very attributes of God. Government wants you to see it as omniscient, knowing everything about you, omnipresent, its constant presence on the media, cameras watching you everywhere, on your phone, on your computer, and as omnipotent, presenting itself as all-powerful and irresistible. This is why the police are becoming increasingly brutal and publicly getting away with it. And the true believers in government love the feeling of security their religious devotion gives them, and they're incensed that while they've been fingerprinted, investigated, and paid an $85 fee to get special privileges, others who haven't paid their dues are being let into the line.
They just let everybody into the line.
And why? Because it's convenient for the TSA. Remember that first Thanksgiving after they put in the naked scanners, afraid that protesters would make the government look weak by clogging the system in protest? The TSA just turned off the scanners, turned off the security on the busiest travel day of the year. And that's what they're doing now as they feel like it with the PreCheck program.
Passengers without background checks whisked through the same lines reserved for pre-screened travelers, members of the TSA's PreCheck program.
And the true believers of government are incensed at the lack of privilege. But here's the real truth about their security rituals. As John Corbett challenged their unconstitutional molestations in court, unredacted TSA documents were posted by the government mistakenly on pacer.gov as part of the lawsuit. At exactly the same time they were threatening to turn the state of Texas into a no-fly zone in 2011 because Texas legislators were going to stop their unwarranted sexual molestation, the TSA admitted that there was no threat to airports or to airplanes. Yet they were willing to turn Texas into a no-fly zone to maintain their security rituals. Now, if the mainstream media reported that, it would really destroy the sheeple's faith in
the security rituals many have come to trust.
For InfoWars Nightly News, I'm David Knight.